allegedly you talked that to provide benefit to the recipients. Do you think that there are any other factors?
Yeah, so I'd like to think that would, if there is fraud happening, that would be the main motivation for it. However, I am sure there are people that will unscrupulously take money from charities for personal gain. There are in every single sector of the economy. Even within families, there are people that commit financial fraud. I think because it is a risk, it would often have to be weighed up against the benefit for them, whoever did it, or what the group of people do it, or if the whole charity does it. But I think one of the main benefits is going to be weighing it up against what the benefits of committing the fraud will be, and deciding that it's worth it, right? If that is the case.
All right. And do you think that the charity sector is much more vulnerable towards fraud than the for-profit and the public sector?
I think there's a great deal of obviously money goes missing everywhere. It seems to me like there's growing accountability in the public sector, in councils, and in sections of the NHS, etc. In sections of the NHS, for example, there's more and more accountability coming in, even against the waves of privatisation. I don't know. I know that the for-profit sector is being more and more regulated against fraud, but I don't know enough about the charity sector and regulations against fraud, to be frank.
Okay. But so you don't think that if it's much more vulnerable or not? You're not sure?
It feels like it should be a softer target for fraud. It feels like it should be more vulnerable, but I'm only saying that from an ignorance of what the regulations are.
Okay. All right. Do you think that there is an opportunity for fraud to take place in the charity sector because people think that the sector is much more trustworthy?
Yeah, entirely. And I think as well the fact that often with charities there's very little way that as a donor, say you walk into, say for example, take a big charity like a charity shop, right? Take like an Oxfam or a Cancer Research UK or something like that. Then when a donor walks into a shop and buys something or donates, it's not always clear that there's a process to follow up what happens to money. Obviously you're not going to be able to follow your exact £2.50, but I've never seen anything that kind of says, well, this is what we do with our money. Yep. Here's some figures put down into a bite-sized or digestible thing for your average donor.
Okay.
And then I guess charities also get government money, which is probably more complicated because that's larger amounts of money that overlaps with the public sector.
And there was the question on the fraud triangle.
Yeah.
I guess it's here, yeah. So which component do you think plays a much more important role in fraud occurrence? I mean, if you think that they're all important, then that's also fine, but...
Yeah, I mean, I think they're all important and would all play a part in it. If I was going to try and pick a most important...
Yeah, I mean...
then I would probably say it comes under rationalisation.
Okay.
But equally, I think that opportunity and pressure could be rationalised.
Yep.
Does that make sense? So
yeah, of course,
you could rationalise that the risk is small, or that you could rationalise that there's an immense amount of pressure to do this, and that fraud would be the only way out of it.
All right.
I think probably rationalisation keys those two other things together for me better than pressure ties to opportunity and rationalisation, or opportunity ties to pressure and rationalisation.
Okay. All right. And do you think that stakeholders can play a role to deter or prevent fraud?
I think that they can... I don't know. I'd like to think so. Yeah, what is in stakeholders is in the whole range of stakeholders, like donors, managers.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, certainly. They're the people that can control it.
But do you think that...
But I don't think it's an equal balance of power.
Okay.
If that makes sense. I don't think that as a donor I would have the same amount of control over the fraudulent processes.
Yeah, what
as a
about
manager
you
or
as
sort of
a
recipient.
beneficiary?
As a beneficiary, I don't feel that I have much control at all, because it feels like it would be, do you know the phrase like biting the hand that feeds you? So there's a charity that's obviously supplying with you with money or with services or goods or whatever. I feel like I'm unable to critique them necessarily, because of the power relationship that comes with donation versus recipient. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
They hold all of the cards. They can cut off my funding.
Okay.
I can't do anything for them.
Okay. So in a way, you think that the charity stakeholders they do not provide enough oversight,
Yeah,
or
I think
they can't.
I think I don't know what it comes down to. I think so. Take the Leverhulme money, for example, that funds my thesis and my PhD research. When that enters into Royal Holloway's system, as far as I can understand, and it's taken me nearly 2 years to get this as an answer, and I have been asking, so there is a lack of clarity.
Yeah.
There's an element of money being matched by Royal Holloway. So it's kind of like the charity section gives most of it, and then money is also provided by Royal Holloway.
Yeah.
That wasn't initially clear to me. There's also a case, so there was X amount of money was given to the college to pay for PhDs focusing on the concepts put forward in Magna Carta, right?
Okay.
And there was no research money as part of that. Now, one of the issues that people are having is that we know that people have dropped out of PhDs, that there have been people incomplete, which means it's a pool of surplus money, right? Or there's some money that's been returned back to the system.
Yeah.
We can't get any answers on what's happened to it. None of us have any concern if it's gone to funding other PhD students, but if it somehow got lost in the college system, then I think that there is an element of something not quite right about that.
Okay.
And I think it also, possibly unhelpfully for you, unfortunately, blurs the idea of who the recipient is. So I'm the recipient of Leverhulme's money, but so is the college.
Yeah.
Right? So there's two recipients.
Okay.
In a way.
Yeah. So okay, all right. Yeah.
They mediate the relationship.
Yeah.
Recipiency.
Okay. I see.
So that's a word.
Yeah, well, who do you think is responsible for fraud in a charity? I mean, who commits fraud?
You know, I think the recipients can commit fraud, everyone up to the managers. I think it can go all the way through.
All the way through, okay.
I think it would be more difficult for a donor to commit fraud. However, it could be wrapped up in other types of fraud. So, for example, not having to pay tax on charitable money. So I think a charity could become an agent in a fraud situation, but not necessarily be instigating it or even aware of it. So I think the whole range of stakeholders could be involved in fraud at some point.
Okay, all right. And well, who do you think is responsible to stop it, to stop fraud?
I think that's something that is spread partly with the stakeholders, well, mainly with the stakeholders, but then also to some degree with the government who regulate all of this. I don't know how it would work with international charities, whether that's the government's through service receiving. But yeah, I think we all have a responsibility if we're involved in the charity sector in any way to try and stop fraud happening, right?
Okay.
Because ultimately, I'm sure 9 times out of 10, the people that lose are potential recipients of that, or staff members, or
And do you think that there is a relationship between fraud and how a charity is governed?
I guess if there is fraud taking place, it's where that fraud is taking place. I imagine it would be a lot more difficult to commit kind of managerial or executive fraud if there were a group of managers or executives that were all well connected and in kind of sharing space and sharing ideas, purely because surely somebody would find out. However, if it's headed up by an individual, whether that opens it up to more risk, I don't know.
Okay, all right. So, which governance determinants do you think much more associated with fraud? I mean,